In the fascinating chronicles of the early Christian church, few stories are as remarkable as the transformation of Saul of Tarsus into the Apostle Paul. This narrative is not merely a tale of personal redemption, but a powerful testament to the transformative power of divine grace. Saul, a fervent Pharisee, was once a zealous persecutor of the nascent Christian movement. His unwavering devotion to the Jewish law and traditions fueled his relentless campaign against those who followed the teachings of Jesus Christ. With authority from the high priest, Saul actively sought out and imprisoned Christians, subjecting them to brutal treatment and even consenting to their execution. However, this trajectory of intolerance and violence was abruptly halted by a miraculous encounter on the road to Damascus. It was here that Saul experienced a profound vision of the risen Christ, a divine revelation that shattered his preconceptions and forever altered the course of his life. The account of Saul's conversion, as recorded in the book of Acts, is a captivating drama that unfolds with breathtaking intensity. It is a story that not only transformed a man, but also reshaped the trajectory of Christianity itself, propelling it from a localized Jewish sect to a global faith that would eventually encompass all nations. To truly appreciate the magnitude of Saul's transformation, we must first understand the depth of his zeal as a persecutor of the early Christian church. The book of Acts provides a chilling glimpse into his unwavering determination to stamp out this fledgling movement. In Acts 8, we are introduced to Saul as a young man who enthusiastically approved of the stoning of Stephen, the first Christian martyr. This brutal act not only demonstrated Saul's complicity in violence against believers, but also marked the beginning of a widespread persecution against the church in Jerusalem. Saul's campaign of persecution extended far beyond the confines of Jerusalem. In Acts 9, we read that Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he found any belonging to the way, men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. Acts 9 verses 1-2, ESV. This passage paints a vivid picture of Saul's unwavering determination to hunt down and imprison Christians, even beyond the borders of Judea. His zeal was fueled by a deep conviction that the followers of Jesus were heretics who posed a threat to the very fabric of Jewish tradition and identity. Saul's actions were not merely motivated by religious fervor, but also by a profound sense of duty to preserve the integrity of the Mosaic law. As a Pharisee, he believed that the teachings of Jesus and his followers undermined the authority of the Torah and the centuries-old traditions that had defined the Jewish faith. It is important to note that Saul's persecutory actions were not unique or isolated incidents. The book of Acts depicts a widespread and systematic campaign of persecution against the early church, orchestrated by Jewish authorities who viewed the Christian movement as a dangerous heresy. Saul's life took an unexpected and dramatic turn on the road to Damascus. As he and his companions approached the city, a blinding light from heaven flashed around them, and they fell to the ground. In that moment, Saul heard a voice calling out to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Acts 9 verse 4, ESV. This celestial encounter was not merely a vision or a hallucination, it was a direct revelation from the risen Christ himself. Saul's response, "Who are you, Lord?" Acts 9 verse 5, ESV, demonstrated his recognition of the divine nature of this encounter, even if he did not yet fully comprehend its implications. The voice replied, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting." Acts 9 verse 5, ESV. These words must have shaken Saul to his core, as he realized that in his zealous pursuit of persecuting the followers of Christ, he had been unwittingly persecuting the Lord himself. The account in Acts 9 continues to describe the aftermath of this transformative experience. Saul, blinded by the brilliant light, was led by his companions into Damascus. For 3 days, he remained without sight, fasting and praying as he grappled with the profound implications of his encounter with the risen Christ. During this time of spiritual reflection, the Lord appeared to a disciple named Ananias, instructing him to seek out Saul and restore his sight. Ananias, initially hesitant due to Saul's notorious reputation as a persecutor, was assured by the Lord that Saul was now a chosen instrument of mine to carry my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. Acts 9 verse 15, ESV. Ananias obeyed, and upon laying his hands on Saul, something like scales fell from his eyes, and his sight was restored. It was at this pivotal moment that Saul was filled with the Holy Spirit, baptized, and began to proclaim Jesus as the Son of God, Acts 9 verses 18 to 20. The transformation of Saul into Paul was not merely a change of name, but a complete reorientation of his life's purpose. The former persecutor became a passionate advocate for the very faith he had once sought to destroy. His zeal and determination, once directed towards violence and oppression, were now channeled towards the proclamation of the gospel and the establishment of the early Christian church. The conversion of Saul, now known as Paul, had far-reaching implications that reshaped the trajectory of the early Christian movement. His unique background as a Pharisee, a Roman citizen, and a scholar of the Mosaic law made him an invaluable asset to the rapidly expanding church. First and foremost, Paul's conversion demonstrated the universality of the gospel message. As a Pharisee, he embodied the epitome of Jewish religious devotion and adherence to the law. His transformation served as a powerful testament that the message of Christ was not limited to any particular ethnic or religious group, but was intended for all people, regardless of their background or societal standing. Furthermore, Paul's extensive knowledge of the scriptures and his mastery of the Hebrew language allowed him to effectively engage with Jewish audiences, interpreting the teachings of Jesus within the context of the Old Testament prophecies and the Mosaic law. This skill proved invaluable in bridging the gap between the Jewish roots of Christianity and the rapidly growing Gentile converts. Paul's missionary journeys, as recorded in the book of Acts and his epistles, played a pivotal role in the expansion of Christianity throughout the Roman Empire. His tireless efforts to preach the gospel, establish churches, and provide guidance and instruction to new believers were instrumental in spreading the faith far beyond its origins in Judea. One of Paul's most significant contributions was his unwavering defense of the inclusion of Gentile believers into the Christian community without the need for adherence to Jewish customs and rituals, such as circumcision. This pivotal stance, affirmed by the Council of Jerusalem, Acts 15, paved the way for the rapid growth of the church among non-Jewish populations and laid the foundations for its eventual transformation into a truly global faith. Paul's extensive writings, comprising a significant portion of the New Testament, have profoundly shaped Christian theology and doctrine. His epistles, such as Romans, Galatians, and Ephesians, provide deep insights into the nature of salvation, the relationship between faith and works, the unity of the church, and the believer's struggle against the forces of sin and darkness. Beyond his theological contributions, Paul's life and ministry serve as a powerful example of unwavering commitment, resilience, and steadfast faith in the face of persecution and adversity. His willingness to endure hardships, imprisonment, and even the threat of death for the sake of the gospel, 2 Corinthians 11 verses 23 to 28, has inspired generations of believers to remain faithful to their calling, no matter the cost. The conversion of Saul, the persecutor, into Paul, the apostle, stands as a remarkable testament to the transformative power of divine grace. It is a story that has captivated and inspired countless individuals throughout the ages, reminding us that no one is beyond the reach of God's redemptive love and purpose. Paul's transformation was not merely a superficial change, but a complete reorientation of his identity, values, and life's purpose. The zealous persecutor became a passionate advocate for the very faith he had once sought to destroy, willing to endure immense hardships and even martyrdom for the sake of the gospel. This profound transformation highlights the depth of God's grace and the power of divine intervention to radically reshape the trajectory of an individual's life. It serves as a reminder that no matter how entrenched one may be in sin, prejudice, or misguided zeal, the transforming power of Christ can break through and bring about a complete renewal of heart and mind. Furthermore, Paul's conversion underscores the universality of the gospel message and its ability to transcend cultural, ethnic, and religious boundaries. As a Pharisee and a Roman citizen, Paul embodied the diversity of backgrounds that could be reached by the transformative power of the gospel. His willingness to embrace and defend the inclusion of Gentile believers into the early church paved the way for the rapid expansion of Christianity throughout the Roman Empire and beyond. Paul's extensive writings, which comprise a significant portion of the New Testament, have profoundly shaped Christian theology and doctrine for centuries. His epistles provide deep insights into the nature of salvation, the unity of the Church, and the believer's struggle against the forces of sin and darkness. These writings continue to serve as a rich source of spiritual nourishment and guidance for believers around the world. Beyond his theological contributions, Paul's life and ministry serve as a powerful example of unwavering commitment, resilience, and steadfast faith in the face of persecution and adversity. His willingness to endure hardships, imprisonment, and even the threat of death for the sake of the gospel has inspired generations of believers to remain faithful to their calling, no matter the cost. The story of Paul's conversion also reminds us of the transformative power of personal testimony and the impact that one changed life can have on the world. Paul's radical transformation from a persecutor to a preacher of the gospel serves as a powerful witness to the reality of Christ's resurrection and the validity of the Christian faith. Moreover, Paul's journey highlights the importance of surrendering one's preconceived notions and biases to the revelatory power of divine truth. His encounter with the risen Christ shattered his deeply held beliefs and assumptions, forcing him to re-evaluate his understanding of the Scriptures and the nature of God's redemptive plan. In conclusion, the incredible conversion of Paul stands as a powerful reminder of the transformative power of divine grace, the universality of the gospel message, and the impact that one changed life can have on the world. It is a story that continues to inspire and challenge believers to embrace the call to personal transformation, unwavering commitment, and steadfast faith in the face of adversity. As we reflect on this remarkable narrative, may we be encouraged to surrender our own preconceptions and biases, allowing the truth of the gospel to penetrate our hearts and transform our lives. May we, like Paul, become instruments of grace, bearers of the good news, and agents of transformation in a world desperately in need of the redemptive power of Christ.